Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm your ever Shorty. Probably another quiet one this week due to distribution issues more than anything else, but I do have new stuff to read and review, at least a couple of them. I'm going to start with Iron Man. And I know what everyone's thinking. Yes, it's another Marvel issue on, and yes, I will keep complaining about it in broad terms, but in this one I don't mind quite so much. The last one I really quite enjoyed. Spencer Ackerman did a really, really good job. He's a journalist who clearly is pro-union and anti-capitalist, and I feel like that was a good time to be doing something with the Tony Stark character. Now, I don't know if it's down to the lack of readership or lack of sales, or just people in Marvel or the people who own Disney, basically saying like, yeah, let's not do anything that's that progressive. Let's not do anything that's going to push any buttons. Let's go for something which is going to appeal to the masses. And their idea of what appeals to masses is to go back to the beginning. Now, the tagline at the bottom of the comic book is "A bold new era begins here." But honestly, if you look at the marketing for it, it feels more like they're selling it on the let's go back to the tried and tested. Let's go back to him just being this showy billionaire. Let's go back to the Marvel way of doing things. And I don't really mind that. A friend of mine, when he was reading the Spencer Ackerman one, was saying that, like, yeah, Tony Stark works well as a billionaire to look at the idea of billionaires being bad. Like, in DC, you've got Bruce Wayne, and there is that, like, idea of what he does with his money to do good as well as getting dressed up as a flying rodent. In this one, Tony Stark is still a showman. He still puts on these massive galas. He still has the amazing apartment. He still spends so much money on all these various little types of armor and trinkets and stuff like that. And I like the fact that you don't need him to be a pure dyed-in-the-wool, ethically good guy. He's trying his best, but you get to look at him through that prism and see that there is issues there, and I don't mind that. The fact they got Joshua Williamson on it actually was also kind of interesting. Marvel made a pretty big deal out of the fact they'd got him away from DC, and I mean this with all respect and quite a bit of love to Joshua Williamson. He's not an A-grade writer for me. He's pretty good. He can be put on comic books where you expect him to reliably carry on a story and do something that at least is going to get people to buy it, and he does that. I've not read anything of his which is really absolutely blow my mind. I mean, if you go back like the past years of me doing best of the year stuff, I don't think a Joshua Williamson thing's been on there, but I also never really slammed him. He doesn't do stuff which is bad. He just does stuff which is comic book, and that's fine. And again, it feels like the right person to do this. You also got Carmen Carrero on art, and they do a really good job. There's a couple of things they do fantastically right from the get-go. Number one, costume design, brilliant. Tony Stark, even outside of the costume, looks great. Wearing a biker jacket, which is like kind of got like more contemporary cut to it. Really nice use of colours, and he looks fantastic in it. But it's the suits, obviously. Obviously, it's the Iron Man suits people are going to be looking at. And after a good few years of, I think ever since the Warren Ellis kind of thing, of going for the nanotechnology thing that was more like it's sprayed on and moves in a more organic manner than metallic and mechanical, I feel like going back to something like the more hefty weight of an Iron Man suit is a good thing. I can't remember the artist did the last run, but they did a really good job on this. Like, it made sense for the story that it would be slightly more lo-fi, slightly more retro-looking armor that Tony is wearing, and they've carried on with this. All the pieces look like they've been individually manufactured to work with each other, but still individual pieces of a whole, and it absolutely adds that heft. When you see him moving, you get a sense of weight behind it. And the other thing they do really, really well is don't really worry about motion lines, not even really much motion blur. They're just a good enough artist that they give a sense of dynamism on the page. The closest they do to it is an occasional little tug of wind or lights blurring ever so slightly when going quickly, which is perfectly fine. It happens all the time in a whole bunch of medium, and I think that makes more sense than just a motion line saying, look, this is where I started, this is where I am now. It trusts the readership considerably more, and I do like that. In terms of the story, again, it does feel more back to normal. It feels more like, as Marvel said, back to the way things should be. Tony is putting on a huge gala. He is wanting to be the centre of attention in every single way that he can, going on stage without a prepped speech and just ad-libbing, but doing a far better job than other people I can mention. He's also going back to womanizing, even though a whole bunch of his exes turn up, and honestly, the exes turning up and causing problems does feel like one of the very early motifs I imagine I'm going to see throughout this run, in that Tony is his own worst enemy. It reminds me of a certain degree of the Zdarsky on Batman, where it doesn't really matter what his rogues gallery is doing. Most of the time stuff goes wrong, it's because of mistakes he's made. And Iron Man, Tony Stark, is the perfect person to do that. He is ego incarnate. And when something does go wrong, he goes to solve it himself, not because you're like, oh, I'm the only person who can solve it or I owe it to people. You get the impression he's doing it because if he isn't the one to solve his own problems, he knows that will make him look bad. And he's so ego-driven that it makes perfect sense to him to never question that motivation. Not as blow-me-away amazing as the last run, but it's got more promise than I was expecting, so I'm going to have to give it a thumbs up at least for that. That's your review out there. Until I see you all again, look after each other, everyone. Fuck ice, stay safe. Bye!